You're listening to Living Full Out with Nancy Solari. As a life coach, Nancy can teach you how to stay strong under pressure and work through challenges you face. Being legally blind, Nancy inspires others to be resilient in overcoming obstacles and live full out. You can ask Nancy for advice in your life on relationships, finance, business, health, and more. Just call in at 800-333-0001. Once again, that's 800-333-0001. Now, here's Nancy.
Hello and welcome to Living Full Out Show. My name is Nancy Solari, and today we're going to be talking about managing loss. Now, loss can come in different forms. It could be the passing of a loved one. It could be the loss of a job that you really enjoyed or a relationship. But when you have that gap and there's this missing space where you had love, you had passion, desire, how do you fill that space? How do you feel whole again? We're going to be talking about that and, of course, taking your calls. The number to call in is 800-333-0001. Also, in our next segment, we're going to be joined by our inspirational guest, Fran Sandin, who actually lost two sons at separate times in her life. One she was more at peace with, the other one really not so much. But how did she find her way to feeling whole, to feeling as though they aren't a loss, but that she cherished the time with them? It's a very moving story, so I encourage you to stay with us, and I know she's going to teach you some great insights that you can apply to your life. Also, if you want to hear today's show again, feel free to go to the livingfullout.com website. Just go to our radio page, and all the episodes will be waiting for you there. We also encourage you to go to your app store if you are on the go or at the gym and you want to hear the show. Or if you have Alexa at home, just tell her, hey, Alexa, play Living Full Out Radio, and she will do so. It's really important to us here at the Living Full Out family that we give you multiple ways to stay motivated, whether it's our Living Full Out blog on our website or this show. Just make sure you plug in and be empowered so that when you are managing losses in your life, you do have that support. Now, I'm getting word from our producer that we do have a caller on the line. We're going to go say hello to them. Hi, welcome to the Living Full Out Show.
Hi, this is Lanisha. How are you?
I am great. Thank you so much for calling in. How can we help you today?
So my question is basically, my oldest is about to leave for college, and it's really hard for me. So I guess I really want to know what coping skills or advice can you give me on how to let go and how to really realize that this is a happy time and this is the next stage and, both of our lives, and really how to say goodbye, not goodbye, but how to let go in a positive way.
I love that you're asking this question, right? And there is no goodbye, right? I mean, We're talking today about managing loss, but even when someone passes on, it's not really a goodbye. It's just celebrating their life, right? But in your case, I want to journey back in time with you. Okay, let's go back in time. When you went from, let's say, high school, did you go to college? High school to college?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And I imagine now that you are where you are, right? Your parents probably went through a similar letting go process, right?
Yeah.
But if they had put the weight of the world on your shoulders, if they had cried endlessly, if they had done everything they could to have you go to a local community college or just stay nearby, would you have flourished the way you had?
No.
Mm-hmm. And maybe would there have been a part of you way back then in your late teens that would have been like, I can do it my way, right? Because we get a little defiant, a little bit excited, right?
Of course, I know.
So the thing is the best way sometimes to handle how to step forward in the future is to look back at our past. Because right now you're functioning from mommy mode, helicopter mom, protective mom, I miss you, that there's that gap, right? That space. But at the same time, if you go back in time to when you were in that transitional place, you now have to do that role reversal, right? So what I want you to do is now look ahead. How can you support your child in having the best life experience possible, right? So now it's still being their mom, but also being a friend, right? So kind of getting into the know of maybe the dating apps or getting into the know of like the career scene and job platforms, or, sending them care packages, or, finding creative ways to stay in touch, whether it's FaceTime or Skype or WhatsApp or email. You know, there's such a special relationship between a parent and a child who goes off to school or moves away for the first time. And to know that you've got their back, that you're thinking of them, will go a long way. Can you try those things?
I will. And, I'm happy that you hit FaceTime and all these different things. It's so different now that there are so many different ways to keep in touch that I didn't have when I was going away. So,
Well, and also think about the fact that just because someone goes away doesn't mean that all the things you do together have to end, right? I have a couple
true.
good girlfriends of mine where we literally will watch The Bachelor over the phone. They pour a glass of wine, I pour a glass of wine, and we're hanging out, right? So think about what you and your child do together that you might be able to do by phone without skipping a beat.
Yeah, so true. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Have a great rest of your day. Thank you for calling in.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye. Love that she asked that question, right? Because that is a loss. She knows it's coming. There's going to be this day that she's going to go into her child's room and they're not there. The next day, they're still not there. But maybe that bedroom turns into a craft room or an office or a guest bedroom. And, we have to embrace change in life. Now, I'm getting word from our producer that we have another caller on the line. We're going to go say hello to them. Hi, welcome to Living Full Out Show.
Hello. My name is Marco, and I have a question.
Yes, Marco.
My question is, what steps can I take to manage my time more efficiently?
Let me ask you a quick question. Yeah, let me ask you a quick question. With regards to time, is it that you get distracted easily? Is it that you have a hard time prioritizing? Or is it kind of complacency?
I think it's a little of each and more to do with procrastination.
Got it. So when you have procrastinated, I'm going to raise my hand, right? Because we've all been there, right?
Mm-hmm.
We all know that yucky feeling when we know that we're turning something in not to our best ability. We all know that yucky feeling when we're running late and we show up 5 minutes late. And even though we apologize, the other person was left waiting, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yucky feeling. And I tell this to my team all the time. The next time you have a moment where you procrastinate and you have that yucky feeling, you really want to anchor it. You really want to feel it. You want to feel the disappointment on the other person. You want to feel the fact that you could have done better. Because when you really take the time to feel it, rather than just compromising or being like, I'll do better next time, right? When you feel it, you will be less likely to do it again. And it's scary to feel because it's easier to come up with excuses and to jump over it and hope that no one notices, right? But
Right.
That is how you get better. And also the one other thing I wanted to tell you about time, whether it's complacency, whether it's, whatever it is in terms of why you're not your most efficient. The good news is you can start being more efficient this very minute. The good and the bad news is it all comes down to you. You can allow yourself to have winning moments, or you can be the one to sabotage yourself. So the good and the bad is it's all in your hands, right?
Right.
And so knowing that it's not dependent on other people, knowing that it's all in your hands, I just invite you today when we get off the phone to say, you know what? There's a new Marco in town today. You know what? What projects are coming up and I'm going to get them done early. Or you know what? I'm going to put my watch 5 minutes early. I'm not going to be late anymore. Right? So start thinking about things that you can do to protect yourself from no longer procrastinating. And I bet even if you go online and Google ways to overcome procrastination, I promise you, Marco, you're not the only one. I bet there are tips and tips and tips online for you. Okay?
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Thank you for calling in. And for everybody listening today, it is about managing loss, managing the loss of time, the loss of a loved one, the fears that we're losing something in life. You're not losing if you take your power back. That is how you live full out. You get creative, you get resourceful, you get support. That's what we're about today. Stay with us. We'll be coming right back with Fran Sandin, our inspirational guest, talking about the loss of her 2 sons, but how even she took their losses and she chose to celebrate their life. She chose to speak positive words rather than being in victim mode. And we all have that ability. So stay with us. I'm Nancy Solari. This is the Living Full Out Show. We'll be right back.
Hi, professional skateboarder Tony Hawk here with Bugs Bunny and Daffy Duck to remind you to get moving every day.
Because when you get moving an hour a day,
you'll have the energy to skate through anything.
Nice play on words, Doc.
That's how I roll, Bugs. So whether you like to work the half pipe,
now that's catching air,
kick the soccer ball around, or dance in your room,
just move it your way.
For an hour a day.
The way you like to move, as long as you're moving.
Carve out some time every day and get active. Because it's time to do a 180 on what you think exercise is.
Because it can be whatever you want it to be. So be a player.
Be a player.
Get up and play an hour a day, Doc. Check out how to be a player at letsmove.gov.
Head online to get tips on great ways to get moving every day.
At www.letsmove.gov. Let's hear that one more time, Doc. That's www.letsmove.gov. A message from the Ad Council and HHS.
I'm Nancy Solari, certified life and business coach. I want to invite you to the Personal Development Boot Camp. During the boot camp, we're going to be looking at taking those insecurities that you have and getting rid of them. We're also going to look at ways in which you can thrive and live a life full of purpose. Go to livingfullout.com/bootcamp, livingfullout.com/bootcamp to sign up. I believe in you, and here's to you living your life full out.
I'm Sarah, and this is my story.
I'm Ellen, and this is my story.
One night, I was at a bar. I was having fun with my friends.
I
had one too many drinks.
I
got behind the wheel to go home.
I got a cab to go home.
All of a sudden, from out of nowhere, a squirrel ran across the road.
It
happened so quickly, I barely had time to react.
The cabbie barely had time to react.
I swerved.
The cab swerved.
I can't believe it. I hit a guy.
I cannot believe it. The cabbie just missed a guy.
I wish I took a cab.
Thank goodness I took a cab.
You have the choice to save a life. Don't drive buzzed. It's a decision you'll never regret. Buzzed driving is drunk driving. Brought to you by the Department of Transportation and the Ad Council.
Hey, America, we need to have a little talk. We've got more food than we know what to do with in this country, yet 17 million kids in America are struggling with hunger. Makes no sense. Luckily, the Feeding America nationwide network of food banks has volunteers gathering excess food and getting it to hungry kids. They're kind of like food angels. Hey, become a food angel yourself by supporting Feeding America in your local food bank at feedingamerica.org. We can't do it without your help. Brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad Council.
If you think depression is all in a person's head, you're right. It's a brain illness. And like other illnesses, it has symptoms. Depression can make those who suffer from it feel hopeless. It can even lead to suicide. Learn how to stop depression from taking another life. Call SAVE, Suicide Awareness Voices of Education, 1-888-511-SAVE, on the web at save.org.
I'm Alec Baldwin. Like any parent, I'm concerned about children's health. Many kids don't eat as they should and are at risk for long-term health problems like diabetes and heart disease. But here's good news. Fruits, vegetables, whole grains, and other low-fat vegetarian foods can protect our kids and keep the rest of the family healthy too. For a free booklet, call the Physicians Committee for Responsible Medicine at 1-877-685-KIDS or visit www.kidsgethealthy.org.
You're listening to Living Full Out with Nancy Solari. With Nancy's expertise, you'll learn how to embrace your potential and strive for success. If you have a question or need further support, send us an email at connect@livingfullout.com. Now, here's Nancy.
Welcome back. I'm Nancy Solari, and this is the Living Full Out Show. And today we are talking about managing loss. It is a tough topic to talk about, right? Because it's sad. It causes anxiety. It's the space that we don't know what to do with. We hurt. We're numb. But I encourage all of you to consider, where is that loss in your life today? Is it a loss of a loved one? Is it a loss of a relationship? Is it a loss of your independence? Whatever that is, rather than sitting in the place of anxiety, of worry, of victim, I really encourage you to rally today. Reclaim your life. Take your power back. Know that your life is right there waiting for you so that you can live full out in the biggest way possible. But each week, we really try to bring you inspirational guests who have lived an experience, and in this case, loss, that may seem unimaginable. Like, how did they ever get through it? But they did. And I'd like to introduce today to you Fran Sandin. And honestly, Fran is such a beautiful being and a warm heart. But she lost 2 sons at 2 different times in her life. She should be spending holidays with these boys, seeing them grow up. But she had to let them go. But the process to how she let them go, and how she's so positive today about it, is what I really what I want you to get from it. So I'd very much like to welcome Fran to the show.
Hi, Nancy.
Hi, Fran.
Hi.
I wish to,
Thank you for inviting me today. Thank you.
You're welcome. And I wish today we were talking about anything other than the loss of your sons. But I'm telling you, God built you strong, girl. You are very impressive as to how you managed both of those losses. And so I want to take our audience back in time here. So the first son that passed away was Jeffrey at 17 months. Can you share with us kind of the day and the day of his passing?
Yes. Jeffrey was the third of our children. We had Steve and Angie, and then Jeffrey. And Jeffrey got sick on a Sunday, but he was not able to recover. He had an overwhelming infection of meningitis. He was placed on a respirator on Wednesday when he had a respiratory arrest. And then on Thursday, the doctors told us that this infection had invaded his spinal cord and his brain, and he was no longer able to function. And actually, when my husband and I got that knowledge there at Children's Medical Center in Dallas, we went to the chapel where we knelt, and my husband prayed that God would use this experience for our good and for His glory. And when we went to the bedside of our little son, Jeffrey, our spirits confirmed what the doctor had told us, that Jeffrey was not really alive, but they were just prolonging his death with the respirator. So we had to hold hands and pray and release him back to God, because, our children are a gift from the Lord, and He's the one who decides when they go to be with Him.
I'm just curious.
We did that.
I'm just curious, Fran. So, again, I can't even imagine holding his small little hand and saying goodbye and, not being able to see him grow up with you and all the holidays. And, even today, I know that I can hear in your voice, it's alive within you. But I'm just curious, how did you deal with the different stages of grief in losing Jeffrey? Because you are a woman of faith, and that gave you great comfort on the day that you let go. But then there's all these questions of why. Like, why my son? Why is there not a cure? Did you go through those stages?
Oh, yes. Well, I was a believer in Jesus Christ, and I had really rededicated my life before this happened to Jeffrey. But it was like a spiritual tsunami for me, and I kept asking these questions. I was wondering, is God punishing me, or how can I conquer fear? Will I ever get over this? Does God really answer prayer? Because we did pray for healing for our son. And then I was wondering if I was becoming bitter, or how could God use this experience for good? And back in the early 70s, there was not a lot of help as far as support groups and things like that. So I actually started asking God to counsel me as the great counselor he is through his word. And little by little, I was able to get answers to the questions that I was asking. And through his word, I was given hope. A lot of it came through the Psalms, and Psalms 119:25 was great. It said, "My soul clings to the dust. Give me life according to your word." And then Psalm 119:50, "This is my comfort in my affliction, that your promise gives me life." It was very, go ahead.
Well, I think that, being able to turn to your faith was just what you needed at the time to kind of get you through. But you also turned to your own writing. And I find this really important because today we're talking to everybody about managing loss. And she did turn to her Bible, but she also started journaling and flushing that pain out of your mind, out of your heart, onto paper. And you ended up writing a book in dedication to Jeffrey. What is the title of that?
Yes, the book is See You Later, Jeffrey. And it was first published by Tyndale House. But the process I went through in writing that book was thinking that other parents are probably asking the same questions if they have lost a child. And so I would take my little typewriter and go down to, we had a cabin at Lake Tawakoni about 30 minutes from our house. And so I would spend one day a week. I would take my typewriter, my paper, and I would cry and write and type. And I did that for 4 years before I came up with a manuscript.
Wow. Fran, I love that you shared that because, again, I too have written books, and I'm telling you, a lot of magic happens through tears, everybody. If you're feeling pain, cry it out. Take it to paper, just like Fran did. Fran, I'm going to have you stay with us because we're going to take a quick break. But for everybody listening, it's about managing loss in your life, but you can get through the dark times. You got to hang in there. You got to lean on shows like ours, those friends and family in your life, but know that you will get through it. Stay with us. I'm Nancy Solari. This is the Living Full Out Show, and we'll be right back.
You're listening to Living Full Out with Nancy Solari.
There are many sounds in your day-to-day life. There are sounds that wake you up. Sounds that make you smile. Sounds that energize you. And sounds that help you relax. But there are some sounds that can alert you to danger and can help save lives. Wireless emergency alerts, now on many mobile devices, use a unique sound and vibration to bring you information about severe weather events, Amber Alerts, or other emergencies in your area. With critical information from local sources you know and trust, you can be in the know, wherever you are. For more information, visit ready.gov/alerts. Brought to you by FEMA and the Ad Council.
Hello, my name is Jeffrey, but people in this town call me Maniac. They call me that because I'm the fastest runner in town. But just because everyone knows who I am doesn't mean I belong. I don't really belong anywhere. You see, I'm an orphan, and I wander the streets just looking for a place that I can truly call home. My name is Maniac McGee, and I'm all alone. Explore new worlds. Read my story in the novel Maniac McGee by Jerry Spinelli. For other great book ideas, visit your local library or log on to literacy.gov. Brought to you by the Library of Congress and the Ad Council.
Look for the bare necessities.
The bare necessities of healthy living are easier than you think.
You better believe it.
And the food pyramid shows you the way. With just the right amount of exercise and the necessary grains, vegetables, fruits, milk, and meats and beans.
Just the bare necessities of life.
So eat right, be active, and have fun.
Yeah, man.
For your own path to a healthier you, visit mypyramid.gov.
This is really living.
This message brought to you by the U.S. Department of Agriculture and the Ad Council.
Hi, my name is Nancy Solari, host of the Living Full Out Show. I am excited to let you know that we are now associated with Alexa. If you have Alexa in your house and you didn't know that, go ahead and find Living Full Out because you can hear us anytime you want, and we're there for you to keep you motivated. Go to your app store because we're located there as well. Just look for the Living Full Out radio show. It's important to us that we put out really inspiring programming, but we want to make sure that you have it at your fingertips when you need us most. We never know when those challenges are going to come, when we're going to feel lonely and need that motivation. So just know that when you need us, we're here for you. Check out Alexa, the app stores, or go to livingfullout.com. Here's to you living full out.
What if I could tell you that a full-blown wildfire was going to occur tomorrow right where you live? Tell you exactly which neighborhoods it would engulf and how fast it would do it. The first thing you would do is talk with your loved ones and make a plan today. It's true, I can't tell you a wildfire will strike tomorrow, but shouldn't you make a plan anyway? Go to ready.gov/communicate and make your emergency plan today. Don't wait, communicate. Brought to you by FEMA and the Ad Council.
Driving has a rhythm all its own. Don't wreck it with a text. Before you get behind the wheel, silence your phone. Or better yet, designate a texter. For more text-free driving tips, visit stoptextstoprex.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration.
You're listening to Living Full Out with Nancy Solari. As a life coach, Nancy can teach you how to stay strong under pressure and work through challenges you face. Being legally blind, Nancy inspires others to be resilient in overcoming obstacles and live full out. You can ask Nancy for advice in your life on relationships, finance, business, health, and more. Just call in at 800-333-0001. Once again, that's 800-333-0001. Now, here's Nancy.
Thank you for joining us today. I'm Nancy Solari, and this is the Living Full Out Show. And today we're talking about managing loss. What are the tools, the support, the resources that we can turn to help give us comfort, to navigate us through those really hard times in the grieving process? Well, we have brought you an inspirational guest today, Fran Sandin, who has gone through that herself with the loss of two of her sons at two different points in her life. So I'd like to welcome Fran back to the show.
Thank you, Nancy.
Thank you for joining us. And honestly, I appreciate how open you are, courageous you are, because it is a really hard subject to talk about, but you've done it with such grace. And in the last segment, you shared with us about the loss of your youngest son, Jeffrey. And now I want to kind of take a little bit of a jump in time because your oldest son, Steve, although he grew up most of his life athletically gifted and healthy and a go-getter, it was at 29 that he really had his first health issue. I mean, he had asthma, but a significant one. What was he diagnosed with at 29, and what were the symptoms around that diagnosis?
Well, Steve had just finished his Master of Physical Therapy degree And he was on his first professional job in the hospital, and he actually became ill with pneumonia. And the doctor who took care of him had taken care of patients with cystic fibrosis. And he said, "Steve, I think you have cystic fibrosis." And my husband and I were shocked because no one in our family had it. But 2 positive sweat tests proved that that was what was happening with Steve. Wow. So he had to begin treatment for that, respiratory therapy, about 4 times a day, and also taking extra medication for digestion, because not only does cystic fibrosis attack the lungs, it also causes thick mucus in other parts of the body and the pancreas, and so he needed the extra enzymes to help him with food digestion. So anyway, it was a shock for him to have that news, and my husband and I did not know that we were carriers of the cystic fibrosis gene.
Well, and that's interesting, because although it's scary to find out if you're a carrier for something, it's good to find out. I mean, myself as well as my 2 sisters, we all have our eye condition, retinitis pigmentosa. No one else in our family has it, but our parents were both carriers, and it's just kind of luck of the draw, right? Or unluck of the draw in our cases. But and I know that your son, you know, he is a man of faith as well, right? And he had a pretty good spirit about everything. But even in his early 30s into his early 40s, I mean, his health condition kept kind of getting more layered with more issues. What were the additional challenges that he went through?
Yes, it wasn't long after that diagnosis was made until he had another diagnosis made, and that was that he had IgA nephropathy, which is an autoimmune disease of the kidney. And actually, 75% of people with that diagnosis go on to live a normal life, but 25% go to renal failure. So 7 years after he discovered he had cystic fibrosis, his kidneys failed, and he almost died. In 2005, he was 36, and he almost died at that time when his kidneys completely shut down. But they were able to save him. He went on hemodialysis, and he recovered from that. And then 3 years later after that, he had a very terrible infection in his lungs, and he almost died again in 2008. But he was able to get through that, and he was actually very brilliant in taking care of himself with these 2 life-threatening diseases.
Wow.
So I was very proud of the way he accepted everything. He did not complain.
He ended up passing away, though, at 43. But what was the final conclusion to why? What was, because he had so many different health issues, but what was in the last stages of his life, what was it that caused him to pass?
Yes. There are many complications that result from cystic fibrosis. And one of them is called infectious vasculitis, and that just means that Steve had so many antibiotics through the years to control the infections that he had in his lungs that finally the antibiotics no longer worked. And so the bacteria then is spread through the vascular system, and there's not, you can't do anything about that.
Now, Fran, I know that when Jeffrey passed away, Steve was like 5, he was young, and here now he was 43, and Steve is passing away. But with Jeffrey, you wrestled with that. You were not in a peaceful place. You had all those questions swirling around in your mind that you shared with us in the last segment. But with Steve, you did have a sense of peace. You were able to say goodbye and feel knowing that he was going to be in a good place. Why is that?
Oh, yes, I did, because Steve and I had even talked about his last days. And we prayed, for him to be healed and for God to have mercy on him. And he said one day, Mom, I know that God may not heal me on earth, but I will be healed in heaven. And he had a very peaceful attitude about the end time, and he had let us know that he was ready to go. And so that gave me a lot of assurance and peace, knowing that I knew that he would be in heaven.
What a smart kiddo that you had there. What an intuitive man. I'm curious. There's so many times in life where I hear people say, I don't want to get a dog because they're going to pass away before I do. I don't want to go through that loss. Or, sometimes people think, I don't want to have a kid late in life because what if they have a health condition? And there's a lot of what ifs in life, but you lost 2 of your sons, one really young and one you had 43 years with him. But if you had done that what if, you would never had that time. What would you tell those parents?
Oh, I would say that, God is the author of life, and he is also sovereign over the life that he gives. And we every day that we have is a gift from God. And I would say that we should go for it, that we should live life full out and just be joyful in what God has done for us, and not to live life in fear, because he does not give us fear. He gives us love and power and a sound mind. And I really believe that people need to just accept the blessings that God gives them and to be grateful and to look ahead with hope. And the only way that we have hope is through our Lord Jesus Christ. And if they know him, then they have hope.
I love that you say all those words, because that is how you find peace in your heart. You just have to find that blend between the letting go process and the gratitude process. And as we kind of wrap up our interview here, Fran, I think it is important to touch on one thing. You had lost Jeffrey, you had lost Steve, but you still had your daughter. How did you allow your daughter to fly and thrive and not go into helicopter mode, fear mode? Because you touched on fear, but you didn't wrestle in the place of fear. How did you do that?
Oh, well, I just have helped the children, help my daughter realize that life goes on. It's easy to get very depressed and think that you don't want to go on after losing someone. But life goes on, and we are not the ones who died, and so we can look forward to what God has for us. And that's, I tried to help her understand that. And so I have a beautiful daughter. She has a wonderful husband, and we have 3 fabulous grandchildren. So I spend my time not just looking back and mourning over my loss, but I'm grateful for what God has blessed us with today. I have a wonderful grandson who resembles Jeffrey when he was a baby, and he reminds us now of some of Steve's good qualities.
I love that, and that's a great note to end on, because it's funny. My grandfather passed away at 101 couple years ago, and this might sound silly, but I look at my service dog, Lionel Richie, which everybody knows, and I see qualities in my grandfather, the loyalty, the senior process, and I think, it is really important to see those traits in those that are still living and also celebrate those who have passed. Fran, thank you so much for being on today's show. You really are a blessing in the world, and we'll keep sending positive wishes your way.
Thank you so much. I'm honored to be here, and thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thank you, and have a great day, Fran. And for everybody listening, you can overcome loss in your life. I know it may seem unbearable and just life is full of burdens and you want to throw your hands in the air. But just like Fran has gratitude and she found her way to cherishing her family, I promise you there's things in life that you can cherish. We'll be coming right back. Stay with us.
So I'm a cat, and I just moved in with this new human, and she's got this little toy she's always playing with all day long. Tap, 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 bloop, bloop. She can't put it down. There it is. Oh, and get this. She even talks to it. Last week, she asked it for Chinese, and guess what? Egg rolls showed up. Like magic. Humans have cool toys.
A person is the best thing to happen to a shelter pet. Be that person. Adopt. Brought to you by the Ad Council and the ShelterPetProject.org.
So, Jacqueline.
Yes, Mom?
I wanted to talk to you about something, and... Oh, wait. Hold on. I just got a text.
Oh, wait, Mom. I just got a message. So many comments on my comment. Hey, guys, check out my new video game. Mom, what? Huh? What'd you say?
This weekend, unplug. Getting closer to nature can get you closer to your family. To find the forest nearest you, go to discovertheforest.org. Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service and the Ad Council.
Thanks for asking, but I'd rather not send you nude pictures. I'm camera shy. I already said no. It's against my religion. I'm giving my dog a bath. You can have pictures of that. Pressure gives me hives. Under my clothes, I'm a robot. Hold on, let me ask my mom. Sorry, my webcam is broken. I'm worried they'll get passed around school. Unfortunately, I just had my clothes surgically attached to my body. If they got out, I might never be president. I'm already naked, under my clothes. Not even if you were all three Jonas Brothers. I have a rash. I have nudophobia. I have lizard skin. The more you ask, the less I want to. You're not the boss of me. Nudity makes me vomit. I'm a vampire, so I don't show up in pictures anyways. Your badgering has really killed the mood.
When someone is pressuring you to do something you don't want to, how many ways can you say no before they get the message? Let us know at that'snotcool.com. Brought to you by the Ad Council.
If you own a gun, you have a full-time responsibility. When you aren't using it, be sure it can't get into the hands of curious children, troubled teenagers, a thief, or anyone else who might misuse it. Your family, friends, and neighbors are all counting on you. Remember, always, lock it up. For more information on firearms storage safety, visit ncpc.org. This message brought to you by the National Crime Prevention Council, the Bureau of Justice Assistance, and the Ad Council.
This is a test to find out if you know it all when it comes to children. Name one of the leading killers of U.S. children age 1 to 13. What's the best way to protect children in a car crash? At what age and size should a child start using a booster seat?
Don't assume you know it all when it comes to car seats for your child. Go to safercar.gov/the-right-seat and know for sure. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
When I grow up, I want to be a new pair of blue jeans.
When I grow up, I want to be a kid's first computer.
I want to be a warm fleece on a cold
I want to
day.
be a football
I want to be a
stadium.
bike that races around the country.
I want to be a bench on a forest trail.
When I grow up, I don't want to be a piece of garbage. And if you recycle me, I won't be.
Give your garbage another life. Recycle. Learn how at iwanttoberecycled.org. Brought to you by Keep America Beautiful and the Ad Council.
Well, I finally did it. My student loan is totally paid off.
What? What about our plan to win the lottery and start living? You know, travel the world on matching yachts, wear enough jewelry to require a bodyguard, vacation on the French Riviera, and then buy it.
You know we're never going to win the lottery, right?
When it comes to financial stability, don't get left behind. Get tools and tips for saving at feedthepig.org.
This message brought to you by the American Institute of CPAs and the Ad Council.
When managing loss, you want to not run from the emotions of grieving through the process. You want to experience them. Let yourself cry, be angry, flush out of your body. But then you want to have gratitude. You want to know that there is a life ahead of you that's worth living, and celebrate those lives of those who have passed.
You're listening to Living Full Out with Nancy Solari. Nancy is here as a guide to show you how to rise above obstacles and savor each moment. If you have a question, call in live at 800-333-0001. That's 800-333-0001. And now, here's Nancy.
Welcome back. I'm Nancy Solari, and this is the Living Full Out show. And I know today we've been talking about the topic of managing loss, and sometimes it's easier said than done, right? But I really encourage you, if you're going through a loss right now, to be vulnerable, to be open, and trust in other people that they can be your hands when you need them. They can be, in my case, when I had the loss of my vision, many of my friends and family have been my eyes over the years. If you're losing the ability to walk and function, other people can be your legs. They can help get you through. But you have to be willing to ask for that help. You have to be willing to be open and honest. Now, I'm getting word from our producer that we do have a caller on the line. We're going to go say hello to them. Hi, welcome to the Living Full Out show.
Hey, Nancy. Thanks for taking my call.
Thank you for calling in. How can we help you today?
Okay, so my name's Jacob, and I'm calling. I'm just looking for the best advice for someone who has taken themselves out of the dating game after a bad breakup a couple years ago. But I want to kind of start putting myself back out there, but I find every time I do, and I'm having a great time, there's just this urge to pull back because I'm afraid either I'm going to get hurt or I might hurt someone else. So I'm just looking for some advice of what I should do to kind of get over that and start kind of getting myself back out there and just feeling more confident in the dating experience.
I love that you asked this question, right? And I have a couple thoughts for you. The first one, before we get into the whole dating arena and getting in there and doing that, just like how you said a second ago that you pull back because you fear getting hurt yourself or hurting someone else, think about the last time you applied for a job, right? And you went for an interview. You went knowing that you might get it, you might not get it, right? But you did it, right? And maybe there's been another time where you did something and same thing. It could go well, it could not go well, but you still did it. And life is meant to be experienced. And I think there's a lot of pressure when it comes to dating that everything has to be this whirlwind romance. It doesn't. I mean, in the times that I've dated, whether it be online or an app, I've made some great friends. And then sometimes you chalk it up to a really good story, right? Because there's always going to be those quirky people, the weird people, and then the people that are equally hurt. They're equally fearful. And sometimes the two of you might have a really good, heartfelt conversation. May not be the right match, but it's just that having a meaningful moment with someone. So what I want you to consider is, think about this person that is the ideal person for you. They're out there in the world. They're looking for you, and they haven't found you yet either. And they want to love. They want to share life with somebody. They can't wait. They're going to be so attracted to your personality and who you are. They can't wait. You're going to light them up inside. But the thing is, if you don't put yourself out there, if you don't take the chance, that person is never going to find you. Think about that love of your life that will never find you because you don't put yourself out there. Do you get that?
I think that's a great point. Because you make a good point with that. Just simply, if you don't put yourself out there, the opportunity won't be there.
Yeah. And even if you apply that to other areas of your life, think of all the friends in your life that I'm sure they're so happy that they have your friendship. But if you didn't happen to go to that meeting, that social function, that party, they would have never met you. So I want you to have fun with the dating process. Don't put so much pressure on yourself. Just have fun with it. Again, you might make a friend. You might have a funny story to be able to tell other people. Or
For sure.
you might find the love of your life. But isn't life worth taking that chance?
For sure. I have actually a small other add-on to this question, because I find sometimes, Nancy, it's not me getting out there that's the problem. Like, I'll go out there, I'll put myself out there, I'll take a risk, I'll go and I'll go on a date, I'll have a great time. It's after. It's after. I find this thing where that's the pulling back. I won't pull myself out there to go on a second date.
So here's what I want to say about that, because we do have to go here shortly. Here's what I want to say. Let life unfold, right? Don't put that pressure. Don't put that pressure. Go on one date, enjoy that one date, and if it's meant to be, if the chemistry's there, if the friendship's there, then follow your gut, Call that person, ask them on another date. They have every right to say yes or no. But again, It's just taking that chance. Okay? Thank you so much for calling in, and we're going to wish you all the best. I can't wait for you to call back in and tell us all about that love of your life you find. Okay?
For sure.
Thank you. And for everybody listening today, we have been talking about managing loss, but just like that last caller, right? And just like our inspirational guest, if you wallow in loss, in fear, you will not be able to move forward. You will be worried. You'll have anxiety. You'll have stress. You don't want any of that. Tell all of that to get out of your mind, out of your heart, out of your body. You're a living, full-out person. You're a mover. You're a shaker. You're getting educated. You're evolving. That is the lane you want to stay in. I wish all of you the best, and here's to you all living a life full out. See you soon.
Thank you for listening to the Living Full Out Show with Nancy Solari. To learn more about this program, visit livingfullout.com for the latest episodes. Connect with the Living Full Out community by following us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and subscribing to our YouTube channel. If you have an inspirational story you want to share, email us at connect@livingfullout.com. Here's to you, living full out.